Hi everybody, welcome to Catherine Sews. Today is Canada's first ever National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. And so I thought what better time to introduce you to my two new favorite books. Both of these books are gorgeous and so full of beautiful images and really interesting information. Today I'm just going to walk you through these books and show you why you should buy them for your fashion library. I first heard about this one, Native Fashion Now, when I was listening to a podcast with a wonderful fashion instructor from Ryerson in Toronto, Ryley Kucheran. At the end of the podcast, he mentions that there are not very many books on current First Nations fashion, except for this one. This was his favorite, and so I don't even think the podcast was finished by the time I was ordering it. It's just a beautiful book. Let me walk you through that one. But while I was searching for it, I also came across this one, The Power of Style, and it's another beauty. It's really a gem, really a small book, and perhaps easier to find. They're quite different from each other, so let me take you through them, and I'm sure you will just find them as drool-worthy as I do. So this one, Native Fashion Now, North American Indian Style. Now in Canada, we don't use the term North American Indian. We call First Nations people First Nations, Indigenous. So when you see this, you know it's an American source. This book presents the work of dozens of Native designers. These designers have dressed presidents' wives and been finalists on Project Runway and sold their work around the world. So right off the bat, that's just gorgeous. This is sort of a Alexander McQueen worthy gown here. The author is Kramer with contributions from Jay Calderon, Madeline M. Kropa, and Jessica R. Metcalf. And it's from the Peabody Essex Museum in Massachusetts. And it was the accompaniment to a fashion exhibit there. It's divided into 4 sections, so they kind of categorize the designers into pathbreakers, revisitors, activators, and provocateurs. And I thought this part was very important. The concept of Native Now is inherently radical because of a widely held perception that Native American art and culture are a phenomenon of the past. This not only implies something static and unchanging, it also suggests that Native artistic expression displays little creativity and is limited in its form and patterns because it emphasizes tradition and convention. So this book shatters that stereotype, that this is not about traditional First Nations fashion. It's about what First Nations designers are doing now. So over here, Native artists honor and respect traditional cultural values, but they have routinely and proactively adopted new forms of expression and materials in response to changing conditions. This is also important. Similarly, the idea of a uniform Native American style is hardly possible given the existence of hundreds of Native American cultures and numerous artists all spread across great geographical distances. This image is, to me, a very striking image. It's sort of frightening and scary, but also so vulnerable because the model is blindfolded. These boots that are amazing, and we'll come back to those in a few minutes. The 4 different sections that they categorize the designers into. First is the pathbreakers. Although a common cliche of Native design is that it's ultra-traditional, many Indigenous designers are great innovators. They push beyond the fringe of buckskin and feathers to make garments that incorporate luxurious materials, colors, and patterns, and that more fully represent the contemporary experience of Native people. And the images and the photography are just spectacular, just beautiful. Look at the work on this. And this I just love more than I can even tell you. This is Derek Jagodzinski, who's Whitefish Cree. This is the cover image by Orlando Duji. And look at that. That is called the Craftspeople Belt by Dennis Wallace. Gorgeous. And some of the pieces are just heart-achingly beautiful. That's Robin Waney, who's Saginaw Chippewa. Dorothy Grant, who's Haida, is the only designer in this who I'd ever heard of before. She's the first Native woman to win an international following for her fashion designs. She paved the way for other Native American designers and today remains at the top of her fashion field. That's beautiful. Look at this belt buckle by Pat Pruitt, who's Laguna Pueblo. The Revisitor section are designers who upcycle, reimagining age-old designs and motifs by using them in new forms. They refresh long-held culturally significant beliefs and images, making them exciting and relevant for new generations. Some of their pieces are made specifically for ceremonies or powwows and will stay within the Native community. Others are intended for outside markets, but both remain strong elements of the handmade and are shaped by cultural references that differentiate Native fashion from that of mainstream culture. This, I just think that is spectacular. I think this is such a powerful image. This is from Dallin Mabey, Northern Arapaho, Seneca. And then look at this one. This just blew me away. This is Carla Hemlock, who's Mohawk. This is called the Treaty Cloth Shirt, and it actually has taken quotes from a treaty, the 1794 Treaty of Canandaigua. These quotations are quite amazing. So, peace and friendship are hereby firmly established and shall be perpetual between the United States and the Six Nations. The United States acknowledges the lands that belong to the Six Nations and agree to never claim or disturb them. Signed in New York, November 11th, 1794. These are the boots. These are Christian Louboutin boots, which is already something pretty fabulous, but Jamie Okuma embellished them with this beading just to make them beyond gorgeous. Kent Monkman took Louis Vuitton leather printed with the LV logo and made an arrow quiver out of that. So that is just amazing. Here you can see the very traditional motif, but used to make such a beautiful and elegant and modern garment. This is interesting. It's a kimono. So it describes it as an inventive fusion of Japanese and Native American design, a kimono with a ledger art applique. Interesting. This one I just adored. To me, it's so elegant and simple with the beautiful strong colors. This is a blanket dress by Margaret Wood, who's Diné Navajo Seminole. The activator section, this is the image that's shown at the beginning of the book as well. Very powerful image and a very beautiful scarf. From Virgil Ortiz, who is Cochiti Pueblo. This is the t-shirt that declares a slogan designed by Jared Yazzie, who's of the Diné Navajo. To protest the Columbus Day holiday, as Yazzie wrote, "I'm rocking the tee today because I am the 500-year resistance. I have been persecuted, stereotyped, hated, and killed. I stand strong with my people. I wear the tee to continue the fight and share the truth." Another interesting t-shirt in French, "Ceci n'est pas un conciliateur," which means this is not a peacemaker. These glasses are also by Jared Yazzie. And I just adored this. I thought that was so lovely. It's by Bethany Yellowtail, who is Crow in Northern Cheyenne. And she's using a photo print fabric, so a very modern technique, but still using natural imagery. This hat just blew me away. This is Paul E. Lapierre, who's Haida and Tlingit. And so he's making a very modern hat style, the flat cap, but using the very traditional woven cedar bark. Absolutely amazing. Some Native designers can be thought of as provocateurs, incorporating and expanding on tradition and hurl them into an entirely new dimension. They provoke us to rethink and look more critically at charged issues like racism or gender bias. This is such a powerful image here. This is Wendy Red Star, who is Crow, and Terrence Houle, who is Blood. So it's an amazing garment made out of vinyl with plastic beadwork here in this very powerful setting. And then I love this suit. This is amazing. This is Tommy Joseph, who is Tlingit, and it's called the Eagle Wolf suit. This is also red cedar bark weaving. It's from Lisa Telford, who's Haida. Beautiful. And then that's the image at the beginning. And it was the headdress that made me think of Alexander McQueen. But the whole dress is beautiful. Lots of textural interest. Beautiful. And that's from Shosho Esquiro, who is Casca Dene Cree. So the whole book is just beautiful right till the end. And I just cannot recommend it highly enough. It is pricey though. In the US it's $50 and in Canada it's $55. But to me that is just well worth it because my fashion library would not be complete without this. On to the Power of Style, How Fashion and Beauty Are Being Used to Reclaim Cultures by Christian Allaire. And Christian Allaire is another Ryerson grad. So that's kind of nice for me because that's where I went. This one is a little less pricey. It's $20, but of course it's a much smaller book. But it is probably more appealing to high school students. It's a little bit more secondary level friendly. Gorgeous image on the front. I just love that. And then a quote from Christian Allaire: "To all the kids who feel that they aren't seen or heard, this book is dedicated to you." This first chapter about sewing tradition, and it's all about ribbon work. Ribbon work is a traditional design craft popular in many Indigenous tribes, in which colorful ribbons are applied onto shirts, dresses, and skirts. The colors of the ribbons and how they are applied typically have personal significance to the wearer. So this is by Jamie Okuma, who did the beautiful boots from Native Fashion Now, the beautiful Christian Louboutin beaded boots. And then this is Christian Allaire, the author, talking about how he had a ribbon shirt made for him and discovered that Indigenous design is about more than creating a garment. It's about maintaining traditional craft and honoring your family roots. I like this. It goes into the past and present of ribbon work. That's his own shirt. And then more about Jamie Okuma, who's featured here, showing what she does with the technique in a more modern way. The spiritual connections of ribbon work, and even, I love this, of course, a little bit of a step-by-step guide to how to do it. The next section, My Hair, My Way. So in this section, he looks at how hair is a cultural expression. Talking about what is natural hair. Love thy locks. Relaxed hair, and then the trend of very colorful hair. Natural hair on the red carpet. And gorgeous images here from Indigenous men maintaining long hair to represent an upholding of cultural tradition and an unwillingness to conform. The art of braid and different braid styles. This section I could use for my costume class. This is all about cosplay, and it's also about body positivity. So I like this little description. Cosplayers create costumes that are skillfully made and totally unique. In the process of making their art, they also promote positive relationships with both themselves and others. So it's some amazing work there. My Body, My Choice, the history of cosplay, and crossing boundaries, gender bend versus crossplay. Crossplay, cosplay dressers as a character whose gender is different than their own. This section also very beautiful, all about hijabs and showing hijabs in very high fashion ways. And then other traditional headwear pieces that have special meanings and purposes. They serve as more than just an accessory. Hijabs on the runway and hijabs in sports. Anybody that loves fashion and the red carpet probably loves Billy Porter with what he has brought to various red carpets. This section is all about men wearing high heels, even a guide to walking in heels, and then a section on makeup used as art, including henna. In conclusion, this book is about the different ways fashion and beauty are being used to empower people and celebrate their cultures. Miigwech for reading, Christian Allaire. Beautiful. And if you do want to order these books, remember to check with your local bookseller first. Even if they don't carry it, they probably can order it for you. And so that helps you support local as well. Okay, so that's it for today's video, everybody. Thanks so much for joining me. Until next time, you take care.